17 signs that America's long economic slide threatens to become economic avalanche, Michael Snyder reports. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? If you are, you should consider yourself to be extremely fortunate, because the vast majority of the population is not. The U.S. economy has been sliding the wrong direction for a very long time, and now our economic momentum is in the wrong direction, and it's accelerating. Retail sales are slowing down. The housing market is in a depressed state. Mass layoffs are happening all over the nation. Stores are closing at a staggering pace. The cost of living has become extremely painful, and debt levels have soared to unprecedented heights. 4 years of deteriorating economic conditions have brought us to a breaking point, and now we're witnessing a bit of shaking in the financial markets. Even though many in the mainstream media are still trying to deny it, the truth is that we're in an enormous amount of trouble. And the following are 17 signs that America's long economic slide threatens to become an economic avalanche. Number 1, the Conference Board's Index of Consumer Confidence just experienced the largest drop that we have seen since August 2021. Consumers grew more pessimistic about the economic outlook in February as worries brewed about a slowing economy and rising inflation, the Conference Board reported on Tuesday. The board's Consumer Confidence Index slipped to 98.3 for the month, down 7 points, and below the Dow Jones forecast for 102.3. This was the lowest reading since June 2024 and the largest monthly drop since August 2021. Number 2, the University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index just fell to the lowest level that we've seen since November 2023. The University of Michigan survey of consumers on Friday released its Consumer Sentiment Index, which dropped from 71.7 in January to 64.7 in February. That's the lowest reading since November 2023, and was weaker than the preliminary reading of 67.8, which was the consensus expectation among economists polled by Reuters. Number 3, retail sales in the United States just fell by the most in nearly 2 years. U.S. retail sales dropped by the most in nearly 2 years in January, likely weighed down by frigid temperatures, wildfires, and motor vehicle shortages, suggesting a sharp slowdown in economic growth early in the first quarter. Number 4, Walmart is warning us that we will experience a year-over-year drop in quarterly profit for the first time in 3 years. Shares of Walmart Inc. were hit hard Thursday after the retail behemoth provided a disappointing earnings outlook, including a warning for the first year-over-year decline in quarterly profit in 3 years. Number 5, last month sales of previously owned homes dropped 4.9%. The U.S. housing market continues to weaken as potential buyers face stubbornly high mortgage rates, elevated prices, and limited supply of listings. Sales of previously owned homes fell 4.9% in January from the prior month to 4.08 million units in a seasonally adjusted analyzed basis, according to the National Association of Realtors. Analysts were expecting a 2.6% decline. Number 6, the cost of living is absolutely crushing most Americans. At this stage, almost 70% of all single adults struggle to afford their regular rent or mortgage payments. Nearly 70% of single, divorced, or separated people struggle to afford their regular rent or mortgage payments, compared to just over half, 52% of married people, according to a recent Redfin commissioned survey. More than 3/4, that's 76%, of respondents who live with their their partner, but are not married, struggle with housing payments, making them the groups most likely to struggle. Number 7, Starbucks is telling us that they will be laying off more than 1,000 corporate employees. Starbucks has announced plans to lay off 1,100 corporate employees as it looks to restructure its operations. CEO Brian Niccol sent out a letter Monday revealing employees who have been laid off will be notified on Tuesday. Niccol stated, "Our intent is to operate more efficiently, increase accountability, reduce complexity, and drive better integration." Number 8, Southwest Airlines is giving the axe to more than 1,700 corporate employees. Southwest Airlines said Monday that it's cutting about 15% of corporate jobs, or about 1,750 people, a move its CEO called unprecedented as the company scrambles to cut costs. The company said it expects savings from the cuts of $210 million this year and about $300 million in 2026. The layoffs will be mostly done by the end of the second quarter and include some senior leadership roles, CEO Bob Jordan said in a staff note, which was seen by the CNBC. Number 9, Blue Origin has decided to fire nearly 14,000 workers. Blue Origin announced layoffs late last week. Almost 17,000 people work at the space company funded by Jeff Bezos, according to Reuters. Number 10, Chevron has announced that it will be reducing the size of their workforce by about 15 to 20%. The Chevron Corp Vice Chair Mark Nelson said it will lay off 15 to 20% of its workers in a bid to simplify our organizational structure, execute faster and more efficiently, and position the company for stronger long-term competitiveness, he said. 11. Estee Lauder is telling thousands of employees that it is time to hit the bricks. Estee Lauder's job cuts will impact a net of 5,800 to 7,000 roles. They came as part of the updated profit recovery and growth plan and restructuring program that the cosmetics company detailed February 4, along with other measures meant to further transform the company's operating model to fund a return to sales growth and restore a solid double-digit adjusted operating margin over the next few years, they said. Number 12, so many federal workers are being fired that initial claims for unemployment benefits in Washington, D.C. went up by 36% in just 1 week. Since Trump has taken office, nearly 4,000 workers in the city have filed for unemployment insurance as part of a surge that began at the start of the new year, according to the Labor Department figures not adjusted for seasonal factors. In all, just shy of 7,000 claims have been filed in the 6 weeks of the new year, or about 55% more than the prior 6-week period. Filings rose to 1,780 for the week ending February 8, a 36% increase from the prior week, and more than 4 times around the same period in 2024. 13. Forever 21 has announced that it will be closing another 200 stores. A clothing chain that was once a fixture in every mall across America is to close 200 more stores as it prepares for second bankruptcy in 5 years. Amid mounting debt, Forever 21's U.S. operator could file for Chapter 11 protection as soon as next month, Bloomberg News reported on Wednesday. 14. Joann Inc. has decided to close all of their stores in the United States. Joann Inc., which has supplied crafty Americans with art supplies and fabrics for decades, recently announced that it plans to close all of its U.S. stores just a month after filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. In a statement obtained by Reuters on Sunday, the 82-year-old company announced its plans to sell all assets to a buyer group. Joann executives originally hoped that a buyer would continue its business, but the highest bidder is slated to start going out of business sales at all locations. 15. Overall, Coresight Research has projected that an all-time record 15,000 stores will be permanently closed in the United States in 2025. 16. Household debt in the United States has now crossed the $18 trillion mark. Americans' household debt, including credit cards, mortgages, auto loans, and student loans, is at a new all-time high of $18.04 trillion, according to the report released Thursday by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Number 17, more than $26 trillion has been added to the U.S. national debt since the start of 2009, and now we're shelling out more than $1 trillion a year just in interest payments. $1 trillion a year in interest. And the punchline is that no matter what Musk does, the USS Titanic is now more or less on autopilot because while a few billions in discretionary spending can be cut, interest on the debt cannot be cut without default. It can, however, be inflated away, and it will be. And in January, gross interest on the federal debt hit a record of $1.167 trillion in the past 12 months. That's the interest on the debt. thanks to another $83.6 billion in interest spending. The meltdown that so many of us warned about is happening right in front of our eyes. We piled up trillions of dollars in new debt in recent years, and that bought us some time, but now a day of reckoning has arrived. For those that have not figured it out yet, an extreme amount of pain is ahead of us. You can cheat the laws of economics for a while, but economic reality always catches up with you eventually. And this is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. This is by Michael Snyder, and about the author. Michael Snyder's new book entitled Why is available on paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 8 other books that are available on Amazon, including Chaos, End Times, 70 Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the most important news, and he's always freely and happily allowed others to republish those articles on their own websites. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.